Today on the Topping Show, Donald Trump is a man that makes promises and keeps promises as the EPA starts to roll back some of their emissions and regulations. Michelle Obama decides to launch a podcast with her brother but gets ratioed on social media. Representative Jasmine Crockett says that we need illegals to pick crops. Leno law may save classics in California. And Black Diamond recalls some of their climbing harnesses. All of that and much more on the Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Guy says he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's a joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free Flamethrower with every IT purchase, with a fun Picatinny rail adapter so you can mount it to any standard AR-15 like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the Flamethrower button to learn more, or click the URL in the video description below. Lastly, trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the business part podcast, just some good news to the automotive community. Trump is keeping his promises as the EPA starts to roll back some of the emissions and regulations. We may very well make the V8 great again. Now, this comes to us thanks to Chris Smith, who's a writer at Motor1.com. And this topic is perhaps the perfect amalgamation of business, politics, and dare I say culture, as some of us still want vehicles to last more than, 10 years, and, we like gas engines. Now, Chris Smith says, quote, U.S. government begins rolling back emissions regulations. The Environmental Protection Agency announced a flurry of proposed changes on everything from water pollution to tailpipe emissions. And here you can see what looks like to be, dare I say, is that a Ford or a Toyota? Some type of truck with a big tailpipe. Doesn't really narrow it down too much, but you get the point. Now, Chris says, quote, one of President Donald Trump's promises upon taking office was to revamp vehicle emissions regulations established by the previous administration, aka the war on gasoline-powered vehicles. I say this because they had a ban on gas engines, not in the fact of they said they were banning it today. It was a backdoor sort of forcing you to ban it with these emission standards. That's why Ford almost had to pay $1 billion in fees because their fleet average for fuel economy wasn't a certain metric. So they said, oh, we're not banning gas engines, but your fleet emissions for your tailpipe emissions and for your mile per gallon had to be XYZ, which are pie in the sky arbitrary numbers. So it was a de facto ban on gas engines because the only way to get there would be to actually, make more EVs and hybrids, which is exactly what the the European Union is doing in Europe as well. It is not technically banning gas engines. It's these other metrics, which is a de facto ban on gas engines. Now, he says, quote, now is officially underway is in what the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency is calling the biggest deregulation action in history. Yes. This is beautiful, folks. Dare I say, will Trump be as bombastic to come out and say, we're going to make every V8 great again. Every car will have a stick shift, 3 pedals from now on. That'll help with America's obesity issue. Everyone has to really pump on that clutch. Get your legs, as youth might say, swole and ripped. Obviously, it's not going to be like that. However, a contributing factor of why there are less stick shift vehicles in the United States is the EPA, because you get less fuel economy. I know the average person doesn't want stick shift these days. They should. But that is one of the contributing factors of why businesses, aka automotive companies, don't offer that on as many vehicles. And that says, I don't own an actual soapbox. Truth be told, I buy soap in liquid form. But if I had a physical soapbox to stand upon, this would be one of my pet peeves, because I love driving the stick shift. I've never had it any other way. As long as I live, I will have 3 pedals. Now, back to the article. He says, quote, you can pursue all 26 press releases published by the EPA regarding proposed changes to air quality standards, groundwater pollution, and more. For our purposes, we'll focus on just one, the action to eliminate the Biden-Harris electrical vehicle mandate. Yes. And I'm sorry, I will give you a visual disclaimer. I'm about to put an EV on the screen. Ugh. The Hummer EV, an abomination to engineering. What was a great military vehicle with, I would say, in terms of masculinity, true Tim the Toolman Taylor. Ugh, ugh, ugh. I mean, that's pure, just testosterone through the roof. Though they weren't coupes, or they didn't have a sunroof, so it'd be a little awkward because they were hard tops with Hummers. But nevertheless, is kind of ironic. What used to be a middle finger to what would people say, the environment, and just pure functionality became something that it does not function at all, as the Hummer EV costs so much and goes so little and takes so many weeks to charge. Nevertheless, that is the picture you see on the screen now. Some might argue it's more important than my face. Some. Can I say, quote, finalized March 2024, the rule called for significant reductions in carbon emissions beginning in 2027, starting first with light-duty vehicles. The reductions would extend to medium-duty commercial vehicles by 2032 and cut emissions by upwards of 50%. At the same time, emphasis would be placed on electric vehicle development and expanding the charging infrastructure. Another thing the government sucks at. They spent $7 billion and got like how many charging stations? 2? Yeah, nothing more in-depth than the government, but I know this is the business part of the podcast. I'll try to keep it more on track, so to say. They continue saying, quote, the plan had EVs accounting for 50%. This is supposed to be a comedy. They want EVs to account for 50% of new car sales by 2030, which, yeah, that ain't happening. Consumers, look at the fastest growing consumer segment for adoption of automobile technology. The biggest growing trend is hybrids. Granted, I'm not a fan because I want a car that'll last decades, not, a couple of years in terms of longevity and reliability. So not my, choice, but that's what a lot of Americans are starting to gravitate towards. A lot of people claiming it's the best of both worlds. Now, they say, quote, the final rule was ultimately a bit watered down than what the Biden administration had previously proposed. Softer EV demand and high production costs had automakers questioning whether these goals could be achieved. They can't. Proponents of the rule said it would spur U.S. development of critical technology for the future. A race is currently being dominated by China. Or Trump would say, China. Those opposed claim it would hurt automakers and make pretty much everything in life more expensive, which, yeah, it has. That's why it's crap. Do you ever wonder why your auto insurance goes up, even though you have the same car? One of the reasons is the cost to repair vehicles. One of the most expensive cars to repair right now are all these EVs. They're so prohibitively comically expensive and have so little third-party support, sometimes completely locked out. You can't exactly fix your Tesla parts by going to the AutoZone or the O'Reilly's. You have one source. That's how a lot of these EV manufacturers are, because they're glorified smartphones on wheels. That's why another reason I don't like it, not a lot of right to repair in those instances. It is very expensive to repair. So yeah, it makes everything more expensive. Yes, even for the people who didn't buy the EVs. True. Now they say the automakers will be hurt. Yeah, because they're not adapting very well. The only American automotive company that's successful right now with EVs is Tesla, which is, I would say, because Elon's a crazy genius. He achieved the impossible. He made a profit on EVs. No one else has done that yet. Ford just lost, $5 billion last year? Yeah, and they claim they're going to lose $5.2 billion this year on EVs. Now, back to the article, they say, that's now the official stance from the Trump's EPA, headed by Administrator Lee Zeldin. Zeldin says, quote, the American auto industry has been hamstringed by the crushing regulatory regime of the last administration. As we reconsider nearly $1 trillion of regulatory cost, we will abide by the rule of law to protect consumer choice and the environment. Unquote. Now they say, quote, so what exactly would change? The EPA doesn't have any information yet. The agency's official announcement doesn't go further than attacking the previous administration for inflicting undue cost and saying the rule will be reconsidered. They also note that, quote, ironically, the announcement comes one day after Trump praised Elon for Tesla at the White House. They say it's also worth noting that the EPA's announcement isn't something that can be immediately implemented. EPA now is 55 years of ineptitude and corruption. Well, I did that last part. But yeah, we definitely need this. One of the reasons why I always tell people they don't make cars for you, they make it for the government. It's the most overregulated industry, bar none. And it's funny, why these trucks keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger? There are certain carve-outs and caveats for fuel economy regulations. So there are some areas where they get away with it, but they have to make the trucks heavier and heavier and heavier. And the cars have to be safer and safer every year. So you have to have more crumple zones. You have to have more sensors, more airbags, which is good, but it forces the cost to go up for everyone. Just like those rear cameras. Rear cameras are very convenient, but they're forced upon us by the Obama administration as an actual regulation, which hurt, ironically, the lower income the most, which is, who they pretend to care about. I don't think they really do, though. So, yeah, if we could actually get cars that could really perform well and last a long time, that'd be really great. I'm pretty optimistic. Now, the issue is, these car companies make $600 to $700 million to $1 billion investments every time they start or make a new vehicle. And you have to have those life cycles, those vehicles. It's not like a 2-year life cycle. It's not like a smartphone where, after 8 months it's trash, you got to make a new one. I mean, cars have, 6, 10, 12-year lifespans. So they're going to make changes, but I wonder how many of these auto companies will self-regulate, partially because they don't know who's going to be elected president next. And who knows, maybe Jasmine Crockett will become president. She appears to be someone in the Democrat Party that's getting a lot of airtime. And should be told, traditionally, they love regulation and forcing companies to do and forcing people to buy stuff they don't want. So it'll be interesting to see how much is actually done at the end of the day from the automobile manufacturer's perspective. But I'm hopeful and maybe we'll get some fun toys in the future and reliable vehicles. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the cultural part podcast, you have Michelle Obama trying to make a podcast with her brother, and the announcement video kind of falls flat. Just a little bit. Now, this comes to us thanks to Dom, not trying to purposely mispronounce this, I believe it's accurate, Dom Luker on X, in which he says, quote, breaking former First Lady, Michelle Obama released this awkward footage with her brother Craig Robinson in an attempt to promote their new podcast titled IMO. IMO? Now, they say it's, what is this? They say it was, awkward, which I don't know if it's, maybe the standard will be, is it more awkward than my regular attempt to speak fluently, or more accurately, articulately? Let's find out. So this is Michelle Obama and her brother, although if you're not seeing this on YouTube or Rumble, it might be a little awkward because their voices might sound so familiar with the dark, deep voice, but nevertheless.
Hey TikTok, it's Michelle Obama, and I'm here with my big brother Craig.
Hey everybody.
We're here because we're excited to announce the launch of our new podcast called IMO with Michelle Obama and Craig Robinson.
And we just posted the trailer if you want to check it out.
Check it out. Thanks, you guys. See you soon.
You guys got a creepier smile than me, which is saying something. I'm not saying he's a serial killer or anything, but that's creepy. Or maybe I'm just jealous because his teeth are so ridiculously comically white. I don't know if he's had dental work done, but if he has, that dentist is pretty good. I was about to say doctor. It's a debate in and of itself. Are dentists really doctors? No, debate for another time, perhaps. Now, this went pretty viral. Got 1.4 million views and 3.2 thousand likes. Now, one of the first comments coming from Clown World says, quote, bro, no way this is real. I thought this is AI, getting 946 likes. Dom Luker response said, it's real, and it's already flopped on the YouTube, getting 468 likes. Yeah. Proud American says, quote, why does, quote, quote, she look like a man and he look like a woman, getting 1.1 thousand likes? Which, someone just added hair to the man. It says, check it out, 2 women, getting 248 likes. Was it Dev Ranzer meme says, oh no. And they did like some AI. So Michelle Obama has a beard and her brother has some makeup, getting 522 likes. You have Rob McFreedson saying, quote, Big Mike looks like a dude with a wig, while Craig looks like a woman with a shaved head, getting 282 likes. Let's see. Any contrarian statements thus far? Common Sense says, Big Craig and Big Mike. There's a picture that says, what happened to Mike LaVaughn Robinson? And it's a picture of a gentleman, or is it just 2 pictures of Michelle Obama? I can't tell. Got 26 likes, though. Another couple of pictures of Michelle Obama saying how she stands with Ukraine, which, well, yeah, I mean, if your employer's getting a lot of money, why wouldn't you stick up for your employer? Kidding. Totally. Probably not. So we'll see. I mean, perhaps this will be the next big cultural thing since Joe Rogan on the podcast sphere. Who knows? Maybe. I mean, probably not, but it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Let me know your thoughts, though. As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the political part podcast, you have Representative Jasmine Crockett saying that we need illegals to pick crops, which, yeah, a lot of people would say that's racist, but I'd just say par for the core for her party. Now, this comes to us thanks to End Wokeness, in which he says, quote, Representative Jasmine Crockett, we need illegals to pick our crops and clean our hotel rooms since the educated won't, which, yeah, and of course the mainstream media, no one would dare attack her, of course. She's not critiqued. She's above critique, of course. And it looks like she's at some conference called the 19th or something like that.
How many of you are sending your kids to college to go and work on Okay, well, guess who is working the farms? So that you can afford your food.
So that you can have food.
So that you can have food. Now, how many of you are looking to send your kids into hospitality after this college education so that they can go and make the beds at the hotels?
If they have gender study degrees, then they probably will actually default to those industries.
How many of you are planning to send your kids to college? Because that's what we do here. We send everybody to college. How many of you are planning to send your kids to college so that they can then go and build these houses? So the reality is that so long as we live in a capitalist society, there's always going to be someone or a group of people that will do work that some of the rest of y'all don't want to do. These are the people that are really making us great in this country.
Yeah. And of course, from her party, she gets no political backlash at all for saying this. And this went pretty viral, got 1.6 million views as well as 27,000 likes. One of the first comments coming from Gunther Eagleman saying, quote, "The ghetto trash of Congress is at it again," getting 3.9 thousand likes. Democrat Media TM says the biggest and dumbest racist of them all is a gif of a gal saying, "I'm ignorant and wrong. I'm going to be loud about it too," getting 288 likes. Anti-woke memes or memes says, "Dear Democrats," it's a picture of Liam Neeson smoking a cigar. It says, listen up, sweetheart, and let this sink in. I never owned any slaves, and you never picked any cotton. Here ends the lessons. I don't owe you shit," getting 371 likes. Anti-woke memes also has the iconic picture or painting of the African-American and white guy doing the, the handshake, the hand grasp. It says, "Democrats be like, slavery and abortion, they're not really people." That got 163 likes. Paul Zazupa says, "Imagine if a Republican said this," getting 1.6 thousand likes. Yep. Semi-redacted, interesting profile name, has a cartoon of a donkey in 1828. It says, "Democrats, if we free the slaves, who'll pick the cotton." That has a donkey in a suit. And it says, "Democrats 2028-5." It says, "If we close the border, who will pick our fruit?" Getting 1.6 thousand likes. Shady says, "Ignorance is your superpower. You'll be known as super idiot from now on." There's a meme saying, "Whoever is making the comment, how dumb can a Democrat get? Please stop. They're taking it on as a challenge." And 1.6 thousand likes. And I'm not seeing any contrarian comments here. A lot of people posting a cartoon. It has a pilgrim. It says 1850s. This is from the Waco kid. And he says things haven't changed a bit. And it's the pilgrim saying, "But without slaves, who will pick our crops?" And then it has as labeled 1850s. Then it's 2020s. It has, who's that rudimentary soccer player that hates our country? Oh, yeah, Megan Rapinoe. It has her with a Marxism and all the isms on her shirt. It says, "But without illegal immigrants, who will pick our crops?" Getting 5, let's make it 6 likes. Now, that being said, politically speaking, she probably will get some bonus points from her party on this note or from this speech. Maybe she'll increase her donation dollars. And who knows? I mean, she keeps getting the most airtime, or so it seems, in terms of public coverage of Democrat, forerunners or prospective, upcoming nominees for the next election. Who knows? But I mean, maybe we should hope that she really gets nominated, or maybe they'll just install someone like they typically do. Let me know your thoughts, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have the Leno law, which may save some classic cars in California. Or, I'm sorry, it's pronounced California. I mispronounced that for a second there. Now, this comes to us thanks to Grace Jarvis at Haggerty, which they say, quote, "Leno's law, new bill would exempt California classics from small checks," which, yeah, the fact that it's not already a thing is so stupid to say the least. And again, this is credit to Greg Jarvis over there. And she says, quote, "Change may be afoot for Californians who own classic cars. A new bill would make it life much easier for thousands of enthusiasts in California by amending the state's stringent smog rules, which currently mandate smog checks for any vehicle built in or after 1976. That's so stupid. So you have a car from the 80s or 90s, you still have to go to get that car checked out. Really? Yet another reason not to live in California is if you needed one. Also, if you drive your car in sport mode, they pull you over and they take you to the dealership. They force you to uninstall it, apparently, which apparently can cost between $5,000 and $7,000 to remove all that stuff. And they pull you over if your exhaust is too loud. You can crap in the streets and, shoot up fentanyl and rob stores and abuse people. But if you have a loud car, that's where the police really take action in California, which also shows their priorities or lack thereof. Now, he says, quote, If passed into law, California Senate Bill 712 would be fully exempt any vehicle that was made at least 35 years ago if it were insured as a collector car. Naturally, California's most famous classic car fan, Jay Leno, is all in for change. He's even agreed to promote the bill, and it's been nicknamed Leno's Law, which, why does he still live in that crap hole? He actually wants to be an auto enthusiast. Why not live somewhere where they actually love automobiles? They actually let you drive what you want and don't have some crappy gasoline, which another reason about California, it actually is not the most taxed gasoline. Actually, interestingly enough, I believe it's Pennsylvania, but it's the most expensive because they have a duopoly of refineries that can make it to California specs. So California gasoline is quite literally less efficient than in other states. Now, they say, quote, California's rich classic car culture, sparked by the post-war hot rod boom and boosted by Hollywood's love for chrome and horsepower, has made it a paradise for enthusiasts like me, Jay Leno said. California's smog check laws for classic cars need to be updated. They're too much from state to state, and California rules don't match up with neighboring ones. Yeah, because their rules are insane and asinine. There's a picture of Jay Leno. And they say, quote, each of California's neighboring states, Oregon, Nevada, Arizona, have a different set of standards when it comes to smogging classics. Oregon only requires emissions testing in 2 metro areas, Portland and Medford. Portland exempts vehicles with a model year of 1975 or older, and Medford exempts those of 21 years or older. Nevada only requires emissions testing in urban areas of Las Vegas and Reno. The states let pre-1968 model year vehicles off the books, also the special registration categories for classic rod, classic vehicle, and old timer, none of which need to be smogged if they're driven at least 5,000 miles per year or less. Arizona only smogs vehicles in metro areas like Phoenix and Tuscan, and pre-1967 vehicles and those registered as collectibles with appropriate insurance are not policed. Here you can see some classics down there. Back when Volkswagen was really a great thing. Now Volkswagen Group is great, but the specific brand, not so much. They say California State Governor Shannon Grove, a Republican representing Bakersfield, is the bill's sponsor. She says California has a rich automotive heritage, and some of the first classic cars rolling out the assembly lines were right here in our state, unquote. They talk about how the production, began in many instances in California, and how this might be able to save some of the historic value. Now, again, it's also California. They don't exactly like small government or less rules and regulation, so I hope this bill passes, obviously. You should be able to drive where the hell you want. But, yeah, in terms of, am I optimistic that this will actually pass? I mean, I want to say the odds are 0, but you got a star power Jay Leno behind it. I mean, you got a lot of automobile names, like obviously Haggerty is, pushing for this. You got SEMA. I mean, a lot of these organizations, events, are sponsoring it. But also a lot of people hate gas cars in California. I mean, California wants to ban gas cars by 2030, folks. It's asinine. They already banned gasoline-powered, I believe, lawnmowers as well as leaf blowers. And they even want to ban gas-powered generators. Because, it's a good thing. You never need a gas-powered generator because the electric grid is so efficient in California. They never have rolling brownouts because of their ineptitudes. Oh, wait, they constantly do. They just, in my theory, want you to be weak and dependent on the government. But that's just my 3 cents. It used to be 2 cents, but 40-year hyperinflation, those get a little bit better. Gotta be my 3 cents. So I hope the bill passes, but I still can't believe Jay Leno lives in one of the most anti-car enthusiast states. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Black Diamond recalling some of their climbing harnesses because they may allow you to drop and die. So not great from the company that's now best known for being a part of business blunders multiple times. So not only will they not find you in the case of an accident because you have a Black Diamond transmitter that doesn't transmit, but now, ironically, you might even more need that thing that doesn't work because the harness apparently won't work. So not great, Black Diamond, as you continue to be a frequent participant of the Business Blunder Award or part of the show. Now this comes to us thanks to the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission, in which they say, quote, Black Diamond equipment recalls BD Vision climbing harnesses due to fall hazard, serious risk of injury, and death. Not great. Here you can see what looks like to be $18 of material and a piece of metal, perhaps Chinese pot metal. I'm kidding. It probably costs $500 plus, but it is they would probably say aerodynamic and lightweight. Now, they say that, quote, the recalled BD Vision harness can degrade over time and fail to support the climber, posing a fall hazard risk, which could result in serious death or injury. Now, unfortunately, they sold quite a few of these. They sold 1,550 580 units, in addition to about 130 that were sold in Canada. Here you can see a little asset tag right there. So there's the harness itself. I say black. There we go. Have the label right on the loop there. Now they note that the lightweight harness is designed for technical alpine and ice climbs. All sizes are included in this recall. The harness has a fixed leg loop and a solid black and white colors. Black diamond is printed on one of the leg loops. Vision is printed on the other leg loop. Now they say consumers should immediately stop using the recalled Vision harness and contact them for a full refund in the form of a credit card and reimbursement, which, I mean, at this point, I would not even trust this company for a water bottle. I would assume it would be made out of, I don't know, out of lead metal, or it would be sprayed with chemicals on the inside for how many recalls they've had. I don't think they get that right. So I guess you get a gift card to that company for whatever that might be worth for one-time use at $200, which they say which can be used at their store or the website. Damn, so you're kind of locked in there. They say that you should contact Black Diamond for a prepaid shipping label to return recalled harness, and they're also contacting all purchasers directly. Now, this recall number is 25-181, and they were sold at Liberty Mountain Recreation Equipment Inc., which no one really knows that. They really know it as REI, and other specialty stores nationwide, as well as backcountry.com, evo.com, and blackdiamondequipment.com. Now, I guess, there's a silver lining to this situation. No one's passed away. No one's been seriously injured in terms of incidents thus far. They say that Black Diamond has received one report involving the harness's waist belt failing. Thankfully, no one's passed away. No one actually, they didn't fall out and get any major injuries because of it. So at least they're ahead of the recall in that regard, kind of ahead of the game. So that's a silver lining. That's good. But for a company that you're supposed to depend with, you're depending on this company for your life. You're going to the most inhospitable places, second to maybe perhaps Chicago or Detroit. You're going to, ice climbs, mountains, and you have harnesses that might crack and break or rip apart and break. And you have the emergency transmitter that doesn't actually transmit anything. So I don't know how much people actually still trust Black Diamond. And to have yet another recall, which might kill you, gotta say, Black Diamond, you are certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, again, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.